Now, as we proceed further into the series, what I would like you to know is that right now we're dealing with theory. Further, we'll go forward and look into the pseudocode, and that is the major part of the paper too. No matter how well you prepare the theory and all the stuff, you won't be able to get an A, right? So now let's move on to our data identifier table so that we can then continue to our further programs and basically pseudocode. That is our basic target for paper 2 right here. All right. So the topic for this lecture is data tables and data identifier tables basically. So now what are the data identifier tables? Data identifier tables are the tables in which you store critical information about data or any basically what is an identifier right here? An identifier is a variable. You store a variable basically. What do you name a variable? That is an identifier essentially. So the name of a variable is essentially an identifier. Like if you store a bus name or a city's name, then the identifier for that particular uh, variable would be city name. If you want to store city name for like 100 students, and you can say student city name. Student city name is the identifier of that particular variable. And what is that variable storing? Data. So how do you track that? What do you store in uh, students city name? So basically, you need to understand that even in pseudocode, when you give an identifier to a variable, you must align it with the purpose of the variable. For example, if you are storing name, then its identifier will be name. All right. If you're storing, let's say, a phone number, so you can simply say a number is identifier for that particular variable. So let's look into what should a data identifier table contain. So basically, it's the description table you can uh, in which you can allow multiple stuff. For example, understanding memory usage keeps tracks of variables and their data types. So this identifier table is not to be written in program. This identifier table is not to be included with the program. It needs to be there in your in a Word document or anything, or like you can keep it in your a file or something, anything. But it's basically for your convenience. It's to make things easy for you. It's to make things easier for other editors of the program or other programmers. So you need to understand that understanding memory usage keeps track of variables and their data types. Now, how does it keep track of variables? Improving code clarity helps programmers maintain and debug code. Yeah, so basically you know that you stored a particular like variable in for a certain program, but the other programmer does not know what's the function of that particular variable. So that's how data identifier table comes in. Scope and lifetime management, then preventing redundancy. So now moving forward, let's look into what a data identifier table actually looks like. So this is how a data identifier table looks like, and this is what you would be needing to draw for your series. Basically, the identifier name, what you're saying, total. Now, what's the purpose of that particular variable? Sum of all scores. Now, what's the data type? As discussed in the previous video, either it is a string, it is integer, it's car. Now, scope. You do not know basically right now what is the scope of a variable. A scope of a variable can either be local or global. Now, local. When you're writing a code has a function, and a code is part of the whole program. So if the variable is being used in the whole program, it is global. If the variable is only being used for a particular function, for a particular section of the program, because you do not know right now what a function is, that is called local. So this is the difference between global and local, and this is basically how you construct a data identifier table. You list down the identifiers, then you list down what the data type is, then you list down its scope, then you list down its purpose. And for example, let's look into the examiner's point of view, what they can give you. If they give you like a I integer stores integers from 1 to 100, and you are to construct an identifier table for it. Now, identifier, you can make it integers is the data type, int scope, it can be either global or local, purpose, integers from 1 to 100. That's how it works. So it's pretty basic, and I hope that you understand it by now, that what a data identifier table is. Don't forget to like and comment what you do not understand. I'll look into it and explain it to you in the comment section. Thank you.